today we are going to discuss a very important chapter of economic survey, that is agriculture and food management. So it's the chapter 7 of volume 2. Chapter 7 of volume 2. So regarding volume 2, I already told you that from your prelims point of view, volume 2 is very, very important. And try to understand that regarding economic survey volume 2, you as a student who are going to prepare for this event, who are going to write this year prelims, you need to read both the economic survey, that is 16-17 economic survey as well as 17-18 economic survey volume 2. Reason is simple, that 16-17 volume 2 was released in August 2017, and the 17-18 economic survey itself has said that many of the things which it has covered in 16-17 volume 2 is not been discussed. So they are asking you to refer it. The volume 17 latest economic survey is asking you to refer the 16-17 economic survey. So what in this session, what I have done is I have combined both the chapter 2 of agriculture and food management, and since exam is very near, you need to read any material. The PPT is sufficient. We will provide you the PPT slides as PDF, you can download it. But listen to what I am trying to discuss in this agriculture and food management. Regarding agriculture, on an average, you will get 4 questions every year, and economic survey is a very important source, as well as other current affairs also. Almost all the current affairs has been covered in the economic survey. So on an average, you will get 4 questions. So few things I need to tell you is that many knows that economic survey is very important. So everybody read economic survey also. Everybody knows the importance of economic survey. But students don't have any idea regarding what type of question have been asked from economic survey, and which all area you have to stress on when you read economic survey. So for that purpose, while discussing the respective topic under agriculture and food management, I have taken few questions, previous year questions from the related area, so that you will have an idea that how UPSC have asked questions from the survey. So how you need to focus also. Okay. Now regarding this agriculture and food management, so keep this in mind. It's a combined content of 16-17 and 17-18 economic survey. So 16-17 survey volume 2 have started. The introduction of that survey talks about this Lewis dual economy model. Since economic survey have mentioned about a dual economy model of Sir Arthur Lewis, there is a possibility that UPSC may ask a question, what is this dual economy model is all about. It's a very simple concept. What this Lewis dual economy model says that, it says that there is an interrelationship between agriculture and industrial sector. During the, when an economy, any economy, when it grows, during their economic development stages, during the process of economic development, there is a relationship, there is an interrelationship between agriculture and industrial sector. So as the economy of a country grows during their economic development processes, what will happen is that the people who are earlier dependent on agriculture will shift to much more productive sector, that is industrial sector. So there will be a movement of labor from agriculture sector to industrial sector, as well as the share of agriculture sector towards GDP, the share of agriculture in GDP will gradually come down. So this is actually what this Sir Arthur Lewis dual economic model is all about. There is an interrelationship, and how this interrelationship have been explained by Lewis is that during the process of economic development, there is a movement of labor from agriculture sector to more productive industrial sector, as well as the agricultural sector will become less important in relation to its share of GDP. And this actually have happened in the case of India also. You might have seen that the share of agriculture in India's GDP have come down to nearly 17% of GDP. Okay, so even though there have been a decrease in the movements, if you notice in India, this share of GDP in agriculture have come down, but that much of movement from the labor movement from agriculture to industrial sector have not happened in India. But the second point, that is, but if you look into the number, there is a decrease is there, but still the people depend on the labor who depend on agriculture is quite high. But there have been a drastic decrease in a continuous decrease in the share of agriculture sector in India's GDP. So just if a question comes to you now, you can easily answer it. It's just a relationship between agriculture and industrial sector during the process of economic development of a country. One is movement of labor, second is the share of GDP in agriculture sector comes down. That's it. Now it's coming to India. Okay, this is how the economic survey have started. Okay, economic survey says that the agriculture sector in India is mainly characterized by instability in income. There is income instability for the people who depend on agriculture, and that is mainly due to the risk related to production, market and price risk. So the Indian farmers have a problem related with production risk, market risk as well as price risk. Due to these factors, there is an instability, or you can say that the income is not stable for the farmers. Now, this is a very, very, very important point. Please note down the growth rate of agriculture. UPSC will never ask you they will not ask you a particular year growth rate, but you need to know the trend of agricultural growth rate. In the last 5 years, what is the agricultural growth rate trend? Already UPSC asked many questions in relation to GDP growth rate, per capita income growth rate. The trend they asked last 5 years, what was the trend? The last 10 years, what was the trend? Whether it is increasing or whether it is consistently declining. So in order to answer such type of question, this information you will be just have an idea what is the trend. Okay, what happened to agricultural growth in the last 5 years? Okay, so if you look into the year 2012-13, the agricultural growth have been 1.5%. In 2013-14, it was a record year for food grain production. The agriculture have grown very high. That is, there was an agricultural growth of 5.6% in 2013-14. Okay, so 2013-14 is a special year for agriculture because in that year the agriculture have grown. Agricultural growth have been 5.6%. But after that, the next 2 years, it was very poor agricultural growth. We had a negative growth, agricultural growth in 14-15, that is minus 0.2%. Negative agricultural growth we had in 2014-15, and in 15-16 also the agricultural growth was very low, that is 0.7%. But in 16-17, the agricultural growth have increased to a good level, that is 4.9%. So if you ask me, that what is important for you is that if you look into the trend, it is not a steady increase, it is not a steady decrease. It has been different. There have been increase and there have been decline, and now, and in relation to 17-18, the data is not available, but it is expected that there is a slight increase in 17-18 agricultural growth. But from the examination point of view, you need to know the data up to 2016-17 only. The economic survey have covered the data up to 16-17 only. The trend you need to be note down. Okay, so we had a good agriculture growth in 13-14 as well as in 16-17, and 2 bad year in 14-15 and 15-16. Why there was low agricultural growth in 14-15 and 15-16? Okay, the economic survey is telling the reason for that. It says that, okay, this is very, very another important factual point. Okay, in India, India as a country, or Indian agriculture is still dependent on rainfall. It is saying that The survey says that 50% of agriculture in India is rainfall dependent. So basically in 14-15 as well as in 15-16 there were less than normal rainfall. So in these 2 years, the rainfall was less than normal. And since India's agriculture is dependent on rain, or 55% of agriculture is dependent on rain, and during these 2 years the average rainfall was lower than normal, we had a very poor growth in 14-15 and 15-16. So you need to have an idea what exactly happened in these 2 years. And in 16-17, when the rainfall was normal, above normal, we had a good growth of 4.9%. Okay, so that important point you need to note down. Now next is regarding the food grain production. See, there are a lot of facts is there, but the food grain production is very, very important for you, because in 2 years, that's in 2 years, UPSC asked question related with food grain production in India. So since already UPSC asked a question from this area, this knowledge is very important for you, okay, regarding the food grain production. Now the data says that in 2016-17, the food grain production is near to 275.7 million ton, which is the record production, food grain production till 2016-17. So the previous record was in 2013-14. You know the reason also, high growth rate. Okay, compared to the, see, in 2015-16 it was 241.57 million ton. So there have been a greater increase in 2016-17 in relation to food grain production. So it is somewhere around 275.7 million ton. That is a very important fact, and it is expected that it's not that important. It is not mentioned in the economic survey I had taken from the newspaper. In 2017-18 it is expected that the agriculture to grow by 0.9% only. Okay, just have an idea. Now this is another fact regarding this. If you split the total food grain production, have an idea. The most important in the food grains, most important one is the maximum which we produce is rice, that is 110 million ton. So, and that is the record rice production. 2016-17 we had a record rice production. See, I am not taking into 2017-18 data because it's still not officially have come. It is just only an estimate is there. But so up to 2016-17, the record rice production has happened in 16-17, and the highest rice production happened is 110.2 million ton we have produced. Okay, followed by wheat, that is wheat record. Again, it's a record for wheat, that is it has touched near to 98.4 million ton. So 110, approximately 110 rice, which is a record production, 98 million ton approximately, which is again a record for wheat, followed by coarse cereals, nearly 44 million ton, oil seed 32 million ton, pulses 22.95 million ton. And I told you this before, that all the records, these records were broken in 16-17. Earlier record was in 2013-14, the year which we had 5.6 growth rate. Now, why these data is important for you? Why the data of rice, wheat, coarse cereals, oil seeds and pulses is very important to you. You will understand it. Okay, just have an idea the sequence. Okay, sequence of the production: rice, wheat, followed by coarse cereals, then oil seed, then pulses. Pulse also we had a record production, that is near to 22.95 million ton. Coarse cereals it is 44 million ton. Now you will understand why I had given so much of importance to this fact on food grain production is when you see the previous year question which was asked in 2008. In 2008, this was the question being asked by UPSC. Okay, that is, it's a pair question. Which of the following pairs above India's economic indicator and agricultural production are correctly matched? Now presently you don't know the GDP per capita, so they are asking for GDP per capita of that particular year, that is before 2008. So it is saying the GDP per capita 37,000. You are not sure about it. You only know. But rice, see how much they have given. For rice, they have given 180 million tons. Is it correct? No. Till now, see this is the question of 2008. Till now, the record rice production is 110 million ton. So the second statement is wrong. Second pair is wrong. And if you eliminate 2 from the choices, you can eliminate A, you can eliminate B, you can eliminate C, and you got your answer as D, that is 1 and 3 only. So without knowing the GDP per capita, without knowing the wheat production at that time, by just knowing the record rice production is 110 million ton, that too happened very recently, you can answer this question by elimination method. So your answer comes as D, 1 and 3 only. Okay, this is one pattern of question being asked in relation to agriculture production. The next pattern of question being asked again in 2007 is in relation to, they asked question like this was asked in 2007, which one of the following is the correct sequence in the decreasing order of production in million tons of the given food grains in India? Now for you it is easy. It is rice, wheat, co-cereals, pulses. Now you have an idea why I have given so much of importance to the production. Actually you need to have an idea, estimate how much it is. 110 rice, then 98 million ton wheat, approximately 44 million ton co-cereals, and near to 23 or 22.952 pulses. So answer comes as D. Okay, this is a table taken from economic survey. Okay, explanation. I'll explain you what has economic survey have covered. From the table itself, you will get a very important data. Okay, you can expect a question on this. Okay, what is the average yield of major crops in India? What is the average yield of major crops in India? Now, if you look into the major crops, okay, and the economic survey have given the year, okay, 1970-71, 80-81, 1991, 2001, 2010-11, then they are given 15-16 and 16-17. Now, if you look into the major crops, if you look into the rice, just take a glance of it, you can see that there is a consistent increase in the average yield of rice in India. There is a consistent increase. Why I am saying this? If a question comes, the average yield of rice in India have consistently increased from 1970-71 till now. That's a correct statement, because there is a consistent increase in there. Increase is there in the rice average yield in India. Now regarding wheat, again wheat also, there is a consistent increase is there. Continuously it is the yield, average yield of major means wheat is also increasing. But so for rice and wheat, there is a consistent increase is there. But for other crops like pulses, oil seeds, sugarcane and cotton, you can't say that. There is an increase and decrease is there. It's not consistent. There is no consistent increase, there is no consistent decrease also. So just have an idea. If a question comes, you can easily answer it regarding the average yield of major crops in India. Okay. Now, another area which economic survey have focused on is regarding the pattern of agricultural land holding in India. What is the pattern of agricultural land holding in India? Okay, I've taken the most important point for you from examination point of view. Okay, first it says that okay, the average farm size in India is small. That is, if you take the average farm size, it is coming near around 1.15 hectare. And in what it says that in relation to the average farm size holding from 1970 to 71, there is a steady decline. So this is what actually survey itself I have said. If a question comes, if a statement comes, you can easily answer it. Okay, there is a steady decline in the average farm size holding in India. Okay, and the average farm size is 1.15 hectare, which is considered as small farm holding. Okay, if it is less than 2, it is considered as small, and if it is less than 1 hectare, it is considered as marginal. So we have an idea about the definition of marginal and small farm holding. Okay, marginal is less than, a farmer is having less than 1 hectare, If it is less than 2 hectare, that is between 1 and 2, it is considered as small farmer. Okay. So small and marginal land holding, that is small, if you together bring small and small is less than 1 hectare, sorry, marginal is less than 1 hectare, small is less than 2 hectare. So if you combine together, what survey says that small and marginal land holdings account for 72% of land holdings in India. So 72% of the agricultural land holdings, is holded by small and marginal farmer. So that's a very important fact to be noted down. Okay, and because of this predominance of this small operational holdings, there is a big drawback, or it's a major limitation to reap the benefits of economics of scale in agricultural operation. Since the farmers is holding only small, their holding is small or marginal or less than 2 hectare, they cannot reap the benefit of economics of scale in agricultural operations. They cannot invest in capital intensive production technology or equipments, etc. Okay, so this is actually what survey is talking is about. Okay, and that also another problem with this small and marginal farmers is that, okay, they have low bargaining power. Since the produce is less because of their lesser land holding, they have less bargaining power and they have less marketable surplus, and they are simply price takers. They are not price makers. What all others give, they just take it and go away. Take the money and go away. So that's the biggest weaknesses of India's agricultural sector. That is this agricultural structure. If you take the agricultural structure, 72% is held by small and marginal farmers, and they cannot reap the benefit of economics of scale, as well as they are just simply price takers in the India's economic or India's agricultural sector point of view. So these points are very important for you. Okay. Now regarding the pattern of expenditure, see the words you be very careful. Okay, the economic survey is talking about pattern of expenditure on productive assets. What is the pattern of expenditure on productive assets by agricultural household in India? Now you know that 72% of agricultural household is small and marginal farmers. So what is their expenditure on productive assets? On which area they invest or they spend on productive assets? So regarding, if you look into the monthly average household expenditure on productive assets, especially those household who possess 0.4 hectares of land, for them 50% of the average expenditure is incurred on livestock and poultry. Okay, so it's very important. Okay, so these small and marginal farmers, their important productive asset is, or important productive expenditure they make is on livestock and poultry. Okay, so that's an additional income for them. So this helps them for income diversification, mainly from livestock and poultry. Okay, so in India, since most of the agricultural are small and marginal farmers, they go for mixed farming. That is, they have both crop as well as livestock. So mixed means having, in the mixed farming system, or the chief characteristic of mixed farming system is that is to have crop as well as livestock. Okay, so crop and livestock farming is what is called as mixed farming. So in our mixed farming production system, which consists of crop as well as livestock, this livestock will supplement the income, it will supplement the nutritional needs, and it can also be used as collateral for the farmer in emergency or during financial distress period. So this livestock is providing additional supplemental income, it is providing them nutritional needs, supplemental nutritional needs, as well as an asset during financial distress. Okay, so these points which the survey have highlighted, please note down, okay, regarding these points. Okay, now just it's again regarding, since we have discussed about mixed farming. There have been a question in 2012, a prelims question, okay, which of the following is the chief characteristics of mixed farming? Now you know that, okay, rearing of animals and cultivation of crops together. Now, another area which the survey have covered is indebtedness among major or among cultivator households, okay. See, if you look into the indebtedness, this indebtedness shows the vulnerabilities of the farming community, the small and marginal farmers, to shocks, poverty and economic insecurity, okay. There is huge debt among these farmers, especially small and marginal farmers. And what the survey says that indebtedness is lowest with those agricultural households who are having large size land holding. So land holding plays a very key role in relation to indebtedness. So if your land holdings is more or large, in that particular household, the indebtedness is comparatively lower compared to small and marginal farmers' household. So if you look into the pattern of agricultural holdings as well as their profile of agricultural households, it indicates that this small farmers are highly indebted and vulnerable to shocks and poverty. So small and marginal farmers are highly indebted and they are vulnerable to shocks this as well as poverty. So these points please note down. Okay, now this the 16-17 survey have discussed in detail the 6 different types of risk faced by Indian agricultural household. They are production risk, weather and disaster related risk, price risk. Okay, so other 3 risks we'll discuss. Okay, now just have an idea in relation to production risk. Okay, what are the causes for this production risk? That is, pest, diseases, shortage of inputs like seeds and irrigation are the causes of this production related risk, and why this is such severe for the farmers. So reasons for, see, this is how economic survey have explained that the risk in agriculture. They are classified type of risk, the causes, the reasons for its severity, as well as it is also suggesting some solutions. For productive risk, it discussed about the causes. It is saying that why it is so severe. It's because of low production or low productivity and the declining yield. So production risk is very, why it is so severe? Because there is a declining yield as well as low productivity. Now what is the possible solutions? Suggested solution for production risk? It is saying that we require pest and disease resistant seeds. We require free market for inputs. Okay, India's agricultural inputs is not having free market. There are many hurdles is there. Then we have to enforce standard quality seeds. We require the farmers should get standard quality seeds. So this is what they have discussed in relation to production risk. In relation to weather and disaster related risk, okay, the reason is that we know that high share of rain-fed agriculture, 55% is depending on rain. The irrigation coverage is low. Then we have problems like drought, flooding, hailstorm and unseasonal rains. These are the causes. And the reasons for severity is that production loss, lower than potential production. Now what are the solutions? Increase the share of irrigated, agriculture. Government, now we have a special irrigation scheme, what is called as Pradhan Mantri Krishi Sinchai Yojana, very important. Then restore and expand irrigation, especially small projects. Adopt outcome measure of performance such as level of water table and water management. So it is giving suggestions to improve water efficiency, increasing the area of irrigation coverage, etc. Now regarding price risk is another risk. The causes, they are getting lower than remunerative price. They are not getting a better remunerative price. The remunerative price, they are lower than it. Okay. And why it is so severe? Because of absence of, we don't have a proper marketing infrastructure. There is presence and excessive profiteering by middlemen. Okay. Why it is so severe? Because middleman exploits or middlemen benefit by this price risk. And what is the suggestion? Build a good marketing infrastructure along the value chain from the production to the sale, and as well as we need to have a regime based on selective timely intervention. Whenever there is a problem is there, we need to ensure that proper timely intervention is being taken by the government. Now the other set of risk like are credit risk, market risk and policy risk. Now regarding the credit risk, why the causes is predominance of informal sources of credit, mainly money lenders. Then there is lack of capital for short term and long term loans. There is for agriculture. Why it is so severe? Absence of stable income for the farmers and or profit leading to default or huge indebtedness. Solution: increase the availability of formal credit, that is institutional credit, to farmers. Now another risk is market risk. Causes the changes in demand or supply, both domestic and international. The major risk for market risk is mainly changes in demand and supply, both domestic demand and supply as well as international demand and supply. The severity: losses, the farmers loses market or market share. Now how this can be tackled? Allow long-term contracts, that is contract farming, for purchase on predetermined prices. So it says that introduce contract farming. Start direct purchase from farmers by exempting government purchases by PSU, defense and parliament, by exempting them, but make sure that the private sector to directly purchase from the farmer, so that the middleman can be avoided. Many initiatives have been taken in relation to market risk. Now slowly and gradually we have a model APMC Act. We will discuss in detail regarding the market risk. Okay. Now we have a trading portal, what is called as e-NAM, so which was asked in 2017 prelims. Okay. So that's government is taking many initiatives to improve agricultural marketing for agriculture. Then policy risk, government policy risk, that is our policies are uncertain. We have uncertain policies and uncertain regulations are the major reason for it. And mainly why it is so important is that the impact of government policies and the APMC Act and other regulations. Okay, the impact is so severe, especially if you take into the APMC Act. Okay, APMC Act have restricted the farmer to sell their produce to their wish, or they can't sell directly to the private sector. Okay. Now regarding the solutions, what we require is we need to change our trade or policy changes to be announced well before. All the changes should be announced well before sowing season and to stay till arrival and procurement is over. This is a possible solution to these risks, that is mainly the policy risk. So this six risks have been in detail covered in the 16-17 survey. So we will see that, okay, we'll just look into the details of these 6 types of risk. Okay, mainly certain risks are very important. We'll look into that and what survey have said that, okay, in relation to production risk, okay, why we have so much of production risk? It's because the agriculture production is determined by factors like irrigation. I told you this irrigation, there is a problem related with irrigation. We don't have availability of quality seeds, as well as there is a shortage of fertilizer as well as overuse of fertilizers. So mainly because of use or overuse of fertilizer, lack of available quality seeds, irrigation have resulted in production risk. Now this is a very important point which is mentioned in the survey in relation to production risk regarding the agricultural labor productivity in India. Okay, the overall agricultural labor productivity of India in terms of gross value added per worker. So what is the gross value added per worker in India? It is so less than a third of in China. So this is very important point. Okay, so what the gross value added per worker is 1/3 of that of China, and about 1% of that in the frontier countries like developed countries like USA, Canada, etc. So India's agricultural productivity, that which is measured through gross value added per worker in agriculture, is so low, whether in relation to developed country as well as when you compare with its India's peer like China, it is 1/3 only. So we have to improve agricultural labor productivity in India, not only to improve the farmers' income as well, but also to improve the agricultural growth as well as the GDP growth of the country. So just these 2 points you please note down regarding production risk. Now regarding the weather related or environment related risk and water stress, what the survey says is that, what the survey stresses that, see, we already have a severe water stress in India. Now there are certain crops which is highly water intensive crops are there. Okay, so crops like sugarcane, cereal, grain, they all are water intensive crop. What survey says that we need to replace from water intensive crops to less water intensive crops like pulses and vegetables. So this is what survey says. The survey says to shift from water intensive crops to less water intensive crops like pulses and vegetables, as well as shifting the water intensive crops to less water stressed region. Okay, so those crops which are water intensive, make sure that where there is less water stress is there, region where there is sufficient availability of water, shift these water intensive crops to that region and let less water intensive crops be grown in water stressed region. That's a good suggestion given by economic survey. It also suggests that, even though it is quite difficult to introduce in India presently, it also suggested cost based water pricing, so that to correct water stress as well as to increase availability of water. So this are been suggestion being given by a survey, that is to charge water pricing. Okay, so even though it is impracticable presently, it has been given in future when the many problems associated with agriculture is being taken care of, this suggestion can be taken. But why I have given this? It is mentioned in the economic survey. Now regarding the area irrigated, if you look into the area irrigation, so see, irrigation is very important. Please go through the conventional different types of irrigation like that. Okay, you can already UPSC ask question from agriculture. Please revise it. Okay, what it says that in relation to irrigation, tube wells are the most common source of, survey says that tube wells are the most common source of irrigation, followed by canals. Now both the types of irrigation, that is tube wells and canals, rely on flood irrigation and wastewater, suggesting the need for system efficiency in the use of water like drip and sprinkler irrigation. Okay, so survey is stressing on drip and sprinkler irrigation. Please revise the different types of irrigation and give importance to drip and sprinkler irrigation. Already it is there in your main syllabus. UPSC have asked 2 or 3 times in the last 7 years in relation to irrigation. So irrigation is very important for you. Please revise it. The survey have given a very important concept, what is called as Agro meteorological advisory service. Survey saying that what is this Agro meteorological advisory service? From the term itself, it is a meteorological service given to the farmers mainly for agriculture. So it's a mechanism to provide relevant meteorological and agricultural practices information to the farmers to improve their production, agricultural production, so that they can save a significant quantity of farm inputs like seeds, water, pesticides and fertilizers, and reap better harvest and made their farming more profitable. So what it says that those farmers who have used the service of Agro meteorological advisory service have benefited in relation to cost saving, in relation to their inputs as well as their production. Now another risk, that is price risk, regarding the price risk. Okay, what survey says that these price uncertainties in India is mainly due to this supply and demand fluctuation. The supply and demand fluctuation is so high in India, and there is high speculation also as well as hoarding by traders. So the reason for price risk in India is fluctuation in supply and demand. See, UPSC can ask, okay, what are the reasons for high price risk in India? 1, 2, 3. Reasons are supply and demand fluctuation, speculation, and hoarding by traders. Now, the price risk also is mainly due to an inefficient, we have an inefficient APMC market. Please revise the concept of APMC, already I have covered for my student, okay. APMC is very important, okay. What is this APMC committee? What are its functions? How they are regulated? Because already UPSC asked a question in regarding APMC in 2016 prelims. The question was like this: who regulate APMC market in India? It is the state government only, okay. So we have an inefficient APMC market. Because of that, farmers have very low resilience, especially to perishable, mainly because of their perishable nature of produce. Have an idea that majority of agricultural land holdings in India are by small and marginal farmers. So they don't have the bargaining power, we already discussed, okay, and they have to sell it. They are produced to these APMC mandis. They cannot hold the produce for quite some time, so that when a price increases they can sell. They cannot do that. They cannot hedge in surplus or shortage scenario, or they cannot insure against losses. So these are the reasons faced by the problems faced by the farmer in relation to price risk, okay. And try to understand that survey says that there have been at many cases distress sale by farmers, especially for perishables in the last few years, okay. So these are the risks associated with price, and the survey is giving in detail what are the solutions to deal with price risk, which is the biggest concern for the farmer. Farmers are not getting a better remunerative price, mainly due to these factors, okay. So what the survey says that, to improve the income of the farmers, it has been suggesting that, okay, it's asking farmers to increase, or asking the government, okay, since there is high wastage of perishables, what is being suggested is to increase food processing. We need to increase food processing in India, both in conventional as well as in modern forms. And another suggestion is it's stagger sowing, okay. Don't sow in a due high manner, means don't go for at one particular period of time for sowing, rather go for staggered sowing, and so that the output will also be staggered. But the staggered sowing is possible only for irrigated agriculture, so that's not possible for rain-fed agriculture. It also suggests introduce seed varieties. Introduce seed which is having longer shelf life, lesser time to mature, and can be planted in different seasons, soils and region. That's a good suggestion to improve the quality seeds. Then this is very important, okay, minimum support price, okay. So please revise the concept of minimum support price. This year you can expect a question on concept based question on minimum support price. Already many current affair related minimum support price has happened in relation to the year 2017 as well as in this year's budget also. Now what is important for you is that already 2 times UPSC asked question related with minimum support price. Okay, the minimum support price announced by the government. So this is another important point, okay. Presently the government is announcing 23 crops, minimum support price for 23 crops to cover what? For what? For what? To cover the price risk faced by the farmer. So to cover the price risk faced by the farmer, presently the government is announcing minimum support price for 23 crops. That's very important information. Now the awareness of MSP and the procurement operations is high only with regard to crops like paddy and wheat. It's one of the limitations of minimum support price, okay. Regarding minimum support price to address price risk, even though for 23 crops minimum support price is there, but regarding the awareness and in relation to the procurement by the government, it's mainly successful only for crops like paddy and wheat, to an extent for sugarcane also, mainly because of some other reasons, okay. So even though economic survey gives some suggestions to improve the price risk, MSP have many problems, but for that only the government is thinking about direct benefit transfer in the form of price deficiency payment. Already regarding the concept of price deficiency payment, I have done a video, you can watch it, okay. So all those things are important for your coming prelims. Now what it says that, it also says that farmers need to be compensated for farming primarily because of inefficient market. We have an inefficient market mainly in the form of APMC for their inputs. So we have, see, the farmers have facing problem of inefficiency in market, not only to procure, sell their product, but also to procure input also. There is an inefficient market for their input as well as for output, which result in what happened to the farm. They have to pay high price for their inputs and a very low or a volatile output price. So to make farming remunerative, the delivery of inputs, this is a very important suggestion, the delivery of inputs like seeds, etc. should be made cost effective through direct transfer, benefit transfer mode. So already in relation to direct, we have started, the government on a pilot basis have started direct benefit transfer on fertilizers. We will discuss in detail. It's because 17-18 survey have given a big importance to direct benefit transfer on fertilizers. It also says that support in the form of MSP for crops other than rice and wheat needs to be shifted to DBT format. Okay. So presently MSP, which is successful for wheat and rice, for other crops it is suggesting that this MSP should be transferred through the bank account of the farmer through direct benefit transfer. So these are the possible suggestions or solution given by the economic survey. In both the survey, price risk has been addressed in both the survey, 16-17 as well as in 17-18 survey. So you can expect a question from price risk for this year prelims. Now, since we have discussed about MSP, those who are not aware about MSP, see how UPSC have asked question related with MSP. Now, the Commission for Agricultural Costs and Prices recommends the MSP for 32 crops. That's a wrong statement. We know that. So even though it's an old question, it has not reached such a high level. Okay. So there have been time where the CSCP announced crops, MSP for 25 crops, but not for 32 crops. So the first statement is wrong. Then, since this question is given to Union Ministry of Consumer Affairs, Food and Public Distribution has launched the NFSM, National Food Security. This statement is also wrong. It is not Ministry of Consumer Affairs, it is Ministry of Agriculture have launched this National Food Security Mission. The answer is D, either one or two. Just have an idea about the MSP question. Now regarding, one more question regarding MSP. Okay, see the 2004 question. See the second statement. Government of India announces minimum support prices only for cereals. That's a wrong statement. The Government of India announced MSP not only for cereals, it announced for oil seed, it announced MSP for pulses, etc. So for cereals, co-cereals, pulses, oil seeds, or for all, the government announces MSP. So the second statement is wrong. So if you know that the second statement is wrong, you can eliminate A and B. So automatically the third statement become correct. For distribution under TPDS, wheat and rice are issued by the Government of India at uniform central issue prices to the states and union territories. Now regarding the first statement, regarding the procurement of food grains, Government of India follows a procurement target rather than an open-ended procurement policy. No, it's a wrong statement. It's not Government of India following a procurement target. What we have in relation to procurement is that we have an open-ended procurement policy. We have an open-ended procurement policy. Open-ended procurement policy means what all is available or whatever is being sold by the farmer under MSP. Under procurement operation, mainly the FCI have to completely procure all the crop, means all the major products, that is mainly food grains, that is wheat and rice available. The FCI with the support of the government will procure everything. That's why what is known as open-ended procurement. Whatever is available, it will procure openly everything, especially for food grains. So first statement is also wrong. So your answer comes as D, 3 only. So just for you to have an idea, okay, how UPSC is asking question from these type of area, especially in relation to MSP. Now regarding the credit risk, okay, that's another important area which the survey have said that, okay, what survey says that in 16-17 the ground level credit is something around 9,59,000 crore. Now just have an idea, every year the government set a target for agricultural loan or agricultural credit. For 17-18 the set target is 10 lakh crore. It was 9 lakh crore for 16-17 and we have achieved the target, that is 9.59 lakh crore. And this is a very important information. What the survey says that 40% of the funds of farmers is still coming from informal sources. So this is the biggest problem related with agriculture credit in India. 40% of the farmers, their credit or their loan is not dependent on formal system, they are still depending on the informal credit system. The problem with the informal system is that the interest rate is very high over there, and that is one of the big reason for farmers' indebtedness as well as farmers' suicide also. Now regarding this credit risk, what the survey says that local money lenders which account for 26% share of local, in the informal source, local money lenders constitute 26% share of total agricultural credit. In addition to, what we can do is, we have to reduce the share of informal credit from the present 40%. So it's not only increasing the credit from informal to formal sources. Other than that, what the government should do is, the government should ensure timely and affordable credit to the small and marginal farmer. The government should ensure timely and affordable credit to the, so what this both require, reduction in the informal sources as well as timely and affordable credit. Now, this you please note down, in the northeastern and the eastern regions of the country, the agricultural credit is very low. So this is one of the reasons why this region is still underdeveloped. Now, in order to address this agricultural credit problem, it's a very, very important scheme I am discussing. The government have a very important scheme, what is called as interest subvention scheme. Okay, since 17-18 economic survey have dealt in detail about interest subvention scheme, there is a high possibility that you can expect a question from what is this interest subvention scheme. The first point you need to note down is that this scheme, see from the term itself you will get an idea. Okay, it is something now since we are discussing about agricultural credit, it is something linked to agricultural credit. Okay, and what this scheme says that there will be interest subvention will be there, there will be interest reduction will be there, and try to understand that this interest subvention scheme is implemented by NABARD and RBI. Now what this scheme says that, okay, the major purpose of this scheme, interest subvention scheme, is that to help farmers to get short term, this scheme is available only for short term crop loan, not for long term crop loan. So it is available for short term crop loan up to, the amount is very, very important. Okay, the scheme is available for short term crop loan up to rupees 3 lakh, and if you are paying back the loan, short term crop loan, within 1 year itself, you will, the interest rate for this short term crop loan will be 4% per annum. So this is the biggest feature of this, the most important feature of this scheme, that under the interest subvention scheme, the farmers will get a short term crop loan of up to rupees 3 lakh with an interest rate of 4% per annum if they are paying back the loan amount within 1 year. So what the government will do is that the government will give this interest subsidy for the banks directly. So even though the bank may give loan for 7% or 9%, but this interest under this interest subvention scheme, the farmers need to pay only 4%, the remaining interest will be paid by the central government. So that is the most important specialty of this scheme. Under this scheme, if for a prompt agri farmer who have taken loan up to 3 lakh, and if he is paying back within 1 year, he will get the loan for 4% interest. The excess interest rate will be paid by the central government to the bank directly as in the form of interest subsidy. Okay, now we'll see that, okay, this is detailedly covered in the economic survey. What the survey says that regarding this, it is implemented by NABARD and RBI. It has been operational since 2006-07. So this scheme is operational since 2006-07. Now, this is what I have taken from the economic survey. Okay, don't get confused. What the survey says that in the year 2016-17, the farmers can avail concessional crop loans up to rupees 3 lakh at 7% rate of interest. So in 2016-17, the interest subvention, the additional, so the 3%. So if the farmers have to pay this 7% loan, but the 3% will be given by the central government to the bank. So the farmer's real interest will come as 4%, provided the farmer pay the loan on time within 1 year. So this is what this third point says. Additional subvention of 3% for prompt repayment within a period of 1 year from the date of advance is given by the central government. This data is about 16-17. But if you look into the 17-18 data, this interest subvention is given 5% by the central government in order to ensure that the farmers need to pay only 4% for their loan. So in 17-18, the agricultural loan was 9%, the 5%, this is 16-17 data. In 17-18, the central government have given 5% subvention, interest subvention. So the actual, how you have to learn it is that whatever is that, under this scheme, if the farmer is making prompt payment, he will get agricultural loan at a net 4% interest rate for an amount of up to 3 lakh, and he have to pay within 1 year itself. Okay, and regarding the other features of this scheme, so not only for crop loan, there are other purpose also. For example, as a measure to check distress sale, post-harvest loan is also being provided under this scheme. Post-harvest loan for storage. Post-harvest loan for storage in accredited warehouses against negotiable warehouse receipts are available up to 6 months for Kisan credit card holding small and marginal farmers. So under this scheme, even the post-harvest loan for storage is also available up to 6 months. Now, the interest subvention by the central government will be given to public sector banks, private sector banks, cooperative banks and regional rural banks on the use of their own fund, or to NABARD for refinance. If the NABARD has refinanced regional rural bank and cooperative banks, it will be funded to NABARD. So this is regarding who all is implementing, which all banks is implementing this scheme. Now regarding this, the basic aim of this interest IAS, that is interest subvention scheme, is to make available at ground level agricultural credit for short-term crop loans. So this scheme is to ensure short-term crop loan at an affordable rate so that there will be a boost to agricultural productivity as well as agricultural production in the country. So that's regarding interest subvention scheme, which is very important for your prelims. Already I've shared a link regarding this interest subvention scheme, the latest 2017-18 interest subvention scheme given by farmer. Those who have time, please refer that article also, which I posted today. And those students who have not joined our economic telegram channel, the channel have been made public. You can click it, Neo IAS economic prelims telegram channel, and you can become a member, and you can read those articles related, all the important articles which I am sharing. Please read this article on interest and subvention scheme.